was at Ross the other day, and if you don't know what that's like, here's a demonstration.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. And right now...
If you're overstimulated, I am sorry. But I didn't want to be alone in that experience. I was in there just looking around for toys because they're very well known to have G.I. Joe and Black Series and whatnot, and I found these. This is an official licensed product of the U.S. Army, so I was like, well, hold on. If these are the official Army men, then maybe, if they're good enough, they'll convince me to enlist. This little set was only $6, which is honestly a really good deal, but also keep in mind Ross is a discount store, so typically they're more around $10. So I'm probably going to judge them based off of that more, just because your chances of finding it at Ross, while they are there, they also aren't very high, because Ross is super random with the objects and items that they sell. So without further ado, let's see if the United States Army has the best toy army men. But before we jump into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's legitimately free and it helps me out a ton. Okay, now let's get into the video. Make sure you like this video and also hit that little notification icon to get more notifications about when I upload. Okay, with that out of the way, we can jump into the video. Except we're not. If you aren't on the Discord, what is wrong with you? We have tons of fun over there. We're almost at 200 members, so if you want to help us get to that number, link is down in the description. Okay, I think now we can finally go ahead and... But wait! Welcome one and welcome all to another Toy Army Men review. So, if you're on the Discord, you probably saw me talk about where, for at least right now, I'm probably not going to do any kind of bigger videos. And what I mean by that is like videos that are like video essays. So like tons of overshots, where I write down everything and do a voiceover, stuff like that. I'm probably going to stick to these more simpler reviews. That's because I'm in college right now. And it's my first semester back to school, so most of my focus and attention is knocking that guy over. But, anywho, other than that, this is a pretty neat little set. Like I said, it was only $6 for me. And you probably heard all those guys fall over. It's 100 pieces, and this is the official set of the U.S. Army. If you can see that, there we go. By federal law, licensing fees paid to the U.S. Army for the use of its trademarks provide support for the Army Trademark Licensing Program, and net licensing revenue is devoted to U.S. Army morale, welfare, and recreation programs. U.S. Army name, trademarks, and logos are protected under federal law and used under license by Silver Star, New York City, LLC. Right off the bat, this toy review is just so interesting. Yeah, I'm actually not sure what company made these. off the top of my head, but like if you go to TJ Maxx or Ross or any of those kind of discount clothing stores, you've probably seen toys with the US Army logo just like that bucket. And yeah, those are all official US Army toys. And I've also seen them like action figures at like I think Family Dollar and stuff. So most definitely I think what they do is they just buy from manufacturers in China and just slap their logo on it. So, but yeah, that's still kind of interesting. And you know how kids are. Like, kids who are into military stuff, they eat that kind of thing up. So really, the Army is doing some smart marketing. Okay, maybe it'll help with those recruitment numbers in the future. Probably not. But anyway, let's jump right into the video by talking about our figures. So, you get 7 poses in this set, I think. No, I'm wrong. I thought I had them all set aside. It's actually 8. So I'm going to scooch back so we can get a better focus on them. You get 8 different poses, and they're a little bit derivative. And, but it's kind of interesting who all they copied from. So, firstly, we got this guy right here, and, that's an interesting shaped rifle. Yeah, and he's very broad-chinned, and it looks like he's wearing a bowler hat. I'm guessing this is supposed to be like a World War I type soldier, but yeah. If I had to guess, I think he's like a copy of a British Airfix soldier, or maybe like a British Matchbox soldier. If any of you guys, because I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, the detailing on these is not the most amazing, but the plastic is super sturdy. It's super strong and good quality, like surprisingly so, at least for these figures. The accessories we'll take a look at here in a second. So, up next we got a radio guy, and yeah, the detailing again, not super great. But you know what, for cheapo Armymen like this, I don't even mind. So, but we can still see all of his straps and stuff. We can see his grease gun right there. And, yeah, this is obviously a knockoff of a Matchbox soldier. Let me move my light back over here so y'all can get a better look. There we go. Yeah, and it looks like those are supposed to be binoculars, maybe? They kind of just looks like a pacemaker that's just way too big and in the wrong spot. Then we got a bazooka guy, and y'all have seen me talk about bazooka guys who aim down a little bit, because that's what you're supposed to do with a bazooka, or at least the M1 bazooka from World War II. I could be mistaken about others, because the blowback causes you to raise up a little bit, and that's a really interesting fact that most Armymen do get right, except for this guy right here. But again, these are toy soldiers, and I am a 26-year-old adult, so what do I literally know? Nothing, that's what. Kind of has a weird tumor on his foot. Look at that. What is that? Is that an ankle monitor? Is this soldier on house arrest? What is that right there? Yeah, because there's like a strap, and like... Is this guy on house arrest? Wow, the Army is just recruiting anyone these days. Keep it going. This is one of the more interesting figures, and it's probably one of my favorites in this set. In fact, I'd say this is my favorite. And it's mostly because this is a clone of Official soldier. Official is another toy company, and they sell most of their products in the UK and the US. I'll put a picture on the screen now of what the Official one of these guys is supposed to look like. So yeah, it's kind of interesting they went ahead and copied Official just out of nowhere, but I really like this guy. I like the pose he's making. He only has one hand on his rifle, if you can call that a rifle and not a 2x4 carved into the shape of a... You know what these guns remind me of? You know how twirlers and marching bands have those fake wooden rifles that they twirl with? That's what this reminds me of. So, moving right along, we got this guy here who looks like... That, honestly, to me, that looks like a shotgun, right? I don't know if to y'all that looks like a shotgun. I mean, of course, it's probably a rifle. But I don't know, it just reminds me so much of a shotgun. Although I'm quite literally a crazy person, so who knows. Interesting helmet, again. They look more like bowler hats. But, also, I'm guessing this is supposed to be a knife, but it's kind of jutting out a little weird. I don't know. So, keep it going. We got a machine gunner. This, of course, is a clone of the Matchbox American machine gunner. This guy has been cloned to death. I probably have 100 different ones of these by different companies. But, that being said, the plastic, again, like I said, is really good quality. It's just that the molds themselves aren't very detailed, and they're also quite derivative off of other sets of toy soldiers. Then up next, we got this hunk of a man. Look at this guy. Just what a handsome Rambo-looking dude. And again, he's got like a little, kind of looks like a beanie a little bit. Just a little. But yeah, he's supposed to be carrying like some kind of big machine gun. This is a Matchbox clone to one of their Desert Storm figures. But yeah, quite interesting they put this in the set. And honestly, he's really, again, plastic is pretty good. Then, of course, finally, we have this very skinny binoculars man. He really needs to eat a sandwich, and so do I, but that's because I'm a fatty. Fatty, 2x4, fatty, he's on the floor. But, again, yeah, we got that classic Matchbox American binoculars holder. Again, looks like a bowler hat. These look like, they look like the dudes from Clockwork Orange, right? Like with the bowler hats. All they need is to be dressed in white. If you're under the age of 18, do not look that movie up. And now that I said that, you're probably going to do it anyway. Oops. So, again, I'm a YouTuber, not a cop. So, yeah, the figures themselves aren't super nice. Like, if you're a collector like me, I might not recommend this set. But, again, I would totally buy this for, like, my nephew or something. I say that like my nephew isn't literally 18 years old. But, yeah, I would buy it for, like, my kid or something, most definitely. It's not a bad set. It's very reasonably, appropriately priced at $10. In fact, I have these figures because Hobby Lobby also sells these. It's like one of the 2 sets of Army Men they sell now. And like the bag that has like 50 pieces of this is about $7. So if you see this bucket at Ross, it's actually a much better deal. Also, real quick, I wanted to I took one of my plastic platoon guys out of the case that I keep them in, just to show y'all the dramatic difference in cheapo versus high quality. Like, you get all this detailing and stuff, and then this guy. But that's the thing, this guy is probably worth like a penny, and this guy is worth like $20 just by himself. So, just keep that in mind. So, as you guys saw, we got a bunch of vehicles. I'm gonna scoot those guys out of the way. Only one slight problem, they're all too small. Like a bunch of clown cars. Da, 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 da. Yeah, like, again, and what's really funny to me is that they're all just different random cars. Like, this one right here has, oh no, that's plastic. Oh, we got some flashing. They went ahead and they bothered with detailing the underside, in fact. Yeah, looks like the underside is going to be the same on all of these. But yeah, this one like here, this looks like a standard Humvee. The wheels don't move. Oh my goodness, at least on this one. What about this one? No, the wheels don't move at all. I'm going to have to take points off for that. Then here's like a Humvee pickup with like the back part off. Another interesting kind of Humvee. It looks like it has the chassis, like the front chassis of a Deuce and a Half, kind of. Then, of course, the standard Willys Jeep. I actually don't even know if the Army still uses the Jeep like that. That's so crazy. The tires just don't move. Is that where we've fallen? And then we got this car right here, which this also looks like a Jeep just with the top up. But then there's this car, and this is like an officer's kind of like car, I'm gonna guess. That's just throwing me off. These wheels don't move. That's so crazy. So they bothered with detailing the underside of this, but they couldn't bother with putting a little even just the plastic rod in there for these tires to work, that's ridiculous, if you ask me. Yeah, so, again, these are pitifully small, and the other thing that's pitifully small are the jets. So we get all of these, plus 2 more that are bigger, which we'll look at here in a second, and they're all different. This one right here is real cartoony, and I don't know the names of any of these, so down in the comments, go ahead and, you know, roast me for that and tell me which is which. But yeah, it looks like we got, I want to say that's like a F-15 maybe. I'm sure some guy's just like, Plastic Commander, you silly goose. That's not an F-15. But, you know, it's interesting they bothered with doing the bottom side of the cars, but not the jets. So, but like I said, each Jeff is different. So, and they're really small. These remind me of the, what is that others? Oh, the Sunny Days bucket. Because if you guys saw my review of that, y'all would know that those are quite tiny as well. So that's what these remind me of. So, again, it's kind of like a quantity over quality thing. Like, I would much prefer to not have these vehicles and instead have maybe something more the size of this jet. And you get 2 of these, and I don't think this one's bad at all. I think that's an appropriate size for an Armyman jet. If y'all remember the Imperial figures way back in the day, those were about this size, the jets that came in that. So, yeah, those are pretty much all the vehicles except the fact that I lied. You also get a little helicopter, and this is the only one in the set, and again, I think this is a decent size for an Armyman set. Like, I think this is appropriately sized, and even the little propeller spins, you know. Okay, so the tires on the cars don't work, but they... Oh, we gotta have the propeller working or else they'll raise hell. Gotcha. And then finally, as far as vehicles, we do get some artillery. We get this little artillery piece, and we get a tiny tank. And we'll look at the tank first. So, the detailing looks pretty cool, but it's just way, again, like a clown car. Way too small. Like, he's about the same height as the tank is long. So, yeah, I would take, if they got rid of all those jets and all those little cars and just made one big tank, I would be fine with that, right? Like, that would just be way better, because you would actually probably use that. So, if you are an Armyman manufacturer, which you're probably not, you know, take my advice. I am the expert. I don't know if y'all know that. They named me Mr. Armyman Guy. So, and then we got this cannon that looks like it's on some bicycle wheels they found in a junkyard. Like, and on top of that, they didn't think the cannon was enough, so they put a second cannon. They put a second cannon on top of the cannon, a smaller one, just for extra measure. So the runaway overblown military budget is really clocking in overtime with this set. Maybe that set is that. Maybe this is a critique of the enormous military budget, the United States Army. Maybe this is more nuanced than I think. Maybe the cars being small and unusable they're like a metaphor. Metaphor, that's the word I'm looking for, Mr. English major. They're a metaphor for how the day-to-day equipment that the military uses is just unusable, while this ridiculous cannon that is not practical at all is where all the money is ending up. Huh? Oh, ooh, look at that. It's kind of deep, right, when you think of it that way? So, now, those are all the vehicles, and we do get some implements. We get some structures. I'm going to grab that one back here. We get 2 guard towers in this little tent, and they are both pathetically small. Again, I would much rather have 1 guard tower that's just like, you know, big enough to fit a dude in, but you can't fit a dude in these. I guess you could, like, if we get the binocular guy and we kind of just... Oh, there we go. Yeah, look at there.
No!
He's got his arm out. Like, hey, Frank! Yeah. That's kind of funny. So yeah, looks like you can technically fit a guy in there. The binoculars guy, at least. I don't think you could fit, like, one of the riflemen in here. Let's see, just... Yeah, not really. But yeah, these are in two pieces. You can see the uneven seams, and they fit in together pretty okay. Like, I didn't struggle that much with my big sausage man fingers. But also we get this tint, and, you know, I'm not going to knock on this tint too much, because I remember back in the day when I was a kid, whenever I bought Armyman sets that had tints in them, they were always about this size. So, kind of weird, right? Kind of weird they put all this effort into the tint, but the cars are all like an inch big. These are smaller. This is like Micro Machines. Like Micro Machines Armymen, right? But yeah, I think it's cute. I think these are cute. The guard towers remind me of Armymen RTS. If y'all remember that game, that's probably my favorite Armymen game, to be brutally honest. I think it's personally like one of the better ones they made. So, but apart from the vehicles and the implements, we also get some other stuff. So we get miscellaneous base items. We get this big missile, which, you know what? I actually like this. I like this little missile. Don't know what it's supposed to be fired out of, because it's bigger than the tank is. But yeah, you could pretend this is like a nuke, and it would work pretty well. We get an oil drum, so your guys can shoot at it and blow up the guard tower, you know? Really cool. We get some ammo crates, too, and I really like these. Like, we get this one here with some kind of... Those are kind of big. I think those are bigger than a rifle round. And then we get this case right here. So yeah, these actually look pretty nice. I actually like those. Those are good background scenery. You don't really get stuff like that in most Armyman sets, like little battlements like that. So, we got a gas can, but only half. You can't hold any gas in this, the silly gooses. Which, I mean, I guess it's almost as big as the cars they're trying to fill up, so maybe it was useless to begin with. But... yeah, I guess you just lay it like that and call it a day. But you probably already saw the little radio it comes with also doesn't have a back or any innards, so, you know, I don't think it's going to be very useful. Let me get my radio guy. Hello? Hello? Aw, man, I forgot to pay my Verizon bill. So, yeah, I'm stupid. Then finally, and this is the final thing we'll be looking at, we get this right here. Two halves of a sandbag, and they fit in together pretty good. They're also really snug, and you can put them at whatever angle you want. If you want to make it like in a obtuse angle, or a right angle, like that, or like even a like 80-degree acute angle. Teaching you guys some geometry while we're at it. And you got something to put you little dudes behind, so get the bazooka man, put him over here. Yeah, but it looks pretty nice. Again, the accessories aren't bad, it's just that the vehicles are really, really small. So, overall, for $6, I do think you get your bang for your buck. That being said, this retails at about $10, so I'm going to judge it at that. For $10 even, I don't think this is a very bad set. Of course, if you can find it discounted, buy it. And like I also said, they sell bags of these at Hobby Lobby for like $7 that have less stuff in them. So most definitely, this is the better option, right? So, getting this bucket, 100 pieces versus like 50. So, overall, at the end of the day, like, if you're gonna get these, I would get them for, like, you know, maybe your, like, little brother, right, your kids, you know, but I wouldn't really gift these to, like, an actual collector. You know, us Armyman collectors, we do have a bad habit of biting people when we are upset. I don't know if any of you know that, but yeah. Christmas was not fun last year.
You know, I really don't think this is that bad of a little set. Yeah, the figures aren't super detailed, but you do get some really interesting poses. My only real complaint, though, is probably that the vehicles are really, really small. Like, that's been a problem with most modern Armyman sets over the last few years.
But regardless of that, for $6, I would say it's worth it. So if you just happen to be at Ross dressed for less, go ahead and grab some of these if you see them. Anyway guys, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. And also, like I said, hit that subscribe button and also drop a like on this video because it does help me out a ton. Also, we hit 8,000 subscribers. That is crazy. So thank you all so much for that. Like I've been saying, mostly through the Discord, we are going to have a special at 10,000. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe, you know. I mean, or don't. I'm a YouTuber, not a cop. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching this video. I'm the Plastic Commander. You're the audience. Bye.
Mission accomplished. Well done, man. Pack it up. We're going home.